What's happening, people? Welcome back to the podcast. Now, we're back with another solo episode. Today's going to be maybe potentially more of a quick fire. I'm not too good with the old quick fire sort of things. I like to give too much nuance, but I'm coming at you with 10 beginner tips for the gym. So the 10, it's 10 most common mistakes beginners make in the gym, which may be accompanied with some tips on how to not do those mistakes. Now, I think this will be helpful for all people starting gym or in their first few years of training, or they are an actual beginner, and also personal trainers. I've spoke about quite a lot how I like sort of niched down into like working with gym beginners. One, because that was an intelligent thing to do, because I'm hardly huge myself, so elite athletes and more likely bodybuilders are hardly going to come to myself to teach them how to get bigger when they're probably already bigger than me. And also, it's who I like working with and who I enjoyed working with the most. So half necessity and half what I actually enjoy doing. So I've spent 4 years now working with beginners in the gym. I've done hundreds of free sessions, one-off sessions with complete beginners, and also I've worked with like quite a lot of people by now. I have no idea what the number is, but mostly gym beginners. So I would say I'm pretty qualified on this topic, and if I'm not qualified enough, I will be, because I'm going to continue to do it. Right, without further ado, let's get into this, because that's enough rambling already. Number one, oh, by the way, some of these will be like psychological as well, but I'm trying to stay away from food in this episode, and it's more to do with the actual gym. Right, number one, setting wild goals. These are mostly to do with physical appearance, potentially fat loss and or muscle gain, not so much with how much weight people can lift, but they do that often as well. Now, the most common one is, I want to lose X amount of weight by X time. I wouldn't even view the gym as anything to do with weight loss for a start, but you almost set yourself up to be disappointed with whatever happens. And as humans, we usually think we can achieve way more than what is possible within a given time frame. Especially with weight loss, that's the most common one, but we do it with everything. I would have done it with business when I first started, like how many clients I can get by X date or whatever, or how good I can be as a coach by within 6 months. We do it with everything. Now, any personal trainers will laugh at this, right? But the first year of coaching that I done, I worked with some, I'm just more honest than most people, I worked with some absolute nut jobs in my first year. You have to take what you're given, right? I'm a fresh PT. I was built like a piece of spaghetti. I didn't really look like I knew what to do in the gym. I didn't really know what I was doing in the gym, and I wasn't that bad at coaching. I knew the principles. I wasn't getting anybody to do anything ridiculous, but things weren't very, very smart because I hadn't done it before. So I got a different kind of client, right? And because I blew up on TikTok, imagine all the mental people commenting on TikTok videos, and you go, man, he's like, why would you waste your time like giving people shit on TikTok? Those were my clients. Those were the people that were coming on board with coaching with me. So I had this guy once, and he'd been maybe at the gym for like 2 weeks, and he was like, by the way, I've changed my goals and I don't think you're taking it seriously. And I was like, all right, okay, what are the new goals? And he sent me a picture of Zac Efron in some film where he had, quote unquote, more of a dad bod. So he was like, yeah, I'm thinking about getting this muscular but not being too lean. Zac Efron looked in ridiculous nick, by the way, and there's absolutely zero chance that you could have done that without the use of some anabolics. And I had to shut my laptop for 2 or 3 hours. I do that occasionally anyway when when I have a complicated message from a client that I'll have to break down and I need to calm myself down first. Happens less and less over the years as you get clients that are less and less, well, people are always going to be unrealistic, but this was just this is an extreme example, right? But that goal, he will probably still continue to think that way, and he is never going to look like Zac Efron, because Zac Efron is one of the most gifted specimens on the planet. Is rich and famous, will have access to the best sort of gear in the world, and it's just like, you know, genetically pretty gifted. And my client had been at the gym for 2 weeks. So honestly, just like all goals, all time restricted goals, think about your goals being like what you can implement, as in what you can do. So your goal, like a nice wee goal, don't quit the gym in 12 weeks. If you try go 3 times a week. If you fail 1 week and you only get 2 in, that's fine. Try go 3 times the next week. You get 2 in and again the next week. Fuck it. Try get to 12 weeks without quitting. That's where you start building confidence. And then after that, it's just like, right, now you go to the gym. Let's keep going. And try think of it that way rather than setting goals. Because if you've never been to the gym before, your goal is going to be dumb like it is. I'll ask on my consultation form, what are your realistic goals in 12 weeks? And nobody writes something realistic, but it's just so I can see where their head is at. And I often say to them before, by the way, that was just to see how you sort of think about things. We're not actually going to like really set goals like that. It's just going to be about like getting to the gym, sending form videos if you're close enough to in-person, coming in for an in-person session, and building your confidence. We don't really set mad, outrageous goals, and I definitely don't let my clients set them if they've never been to the gym before. Right, number 2, going to the gym for weight loss, or viewing anything to do with the gym as weight loss, whether it's cardio, whether it's we're going to stick more to do with strength training, because most of you, like, the gym is made for strength training. It's got all the equipment there for strength training. Yes, I'm not bashing cardio. I think most people that are maybe got an unhealthy relationship with their body, with food, etc., I think those people should lift weights, because that's going to have a much bigger advantage to them fixing those things than cardio does. And they've already tried cardio. I know I'm talking quite in absolutes, but most people who have been trying to lose weight have tried cardio, because there's no, like, you don't need to learn how to do cardio. You just fucking jump on a machine, switch on, and go until you can't breathe anymore, which is most people's approach. Or go and not really do it, and, you know, like those wee, like, Sharons that just, like, go on the bike and they're just, like, going round and, like, asking their pal who they've been shagging. That's not doing much either. But lifting, it's not for weight loss. If you're coming to the gym with that attitude, you're going to already hate it. It's also going to be something that's going to make you probably think about reducing your calories. The less calories you have, the more likely you will be to absolutely despise everything you do in the gym. And I'll often recommend, and it's something I do in my clients, 6 to 12 weeks or whatever, just a random time frame that is, of eating it around maintenance and just trying to get stronger at the gym. Fat loss is a phase that you can do whenever. Learning to actually lift and enjoy the gym requires a different kind of approach, and it's why I don't diet my clients at the start, because my ultimate goal is to get them to enjoy the gym and get stronger, which is much harder to do when you just fuck yourself on low calorie straight away like you always have done. Now, next one. Yeah. Oh, this is a good one, right? See, because I've done so many of these free sessions, this is very, very common that I see people do, and it's making up your own gym program. Now, you'll be surprised to hear this, but 99%, maybe at least plus 90% of PTs don't follow their own program, which might sound bizarre. And I don't mean their own program they do with clients. Like, They literally won't write any of their own programs. And I try steer clear of it. One, when you write other people's programs, the last thing you want to do is write your own. But also the bigger component of that is I'll just overthink everything. It's actually the more you know, like the more you learn about programming, the worse it gets for trying to program for yourself, because you're so emotionally attached to all of the information you sort of know, and that's going to happen at an even larger rate when you know less, I think, because you'll have heard some right things, some wrong things, and you'll just be applying it. And there's actually quite an art to programming, especially programming for clients, because you've got all sorts of different considerations. Yeah, you've got the practical side, like can they handle this amount? Can they do these exercises? Does their gym have this equipment? But there's also the other aspect of, will they enjoy this? There's an art to programming. And if you are new to the gym and you try make up your own program, you're going to stick within your comfort zone quite a lot, and you're actually going to learn less. Because if you do a program and you don't understand why it's set out the way it's set out, you need to go and do that to understand, because then you'll go, right, I get it. That exercise was first because that was the hardest one, and then the second one wasn't as hard, but I still felt like I was capable of doing it, and doing it well. There's a real art to programming, and following your own program will be a bit demotivating, because you'll be constantly scrutinising it, constantly thinking, is this what I should be doing? Whereas if you just followed someone that's already thought it through, then it takes all the guessing out, and you just need to follow the program, and you'll learn way more from doing that. If you were to spend 3 years just following a different program every 12 weeks, at least stick to it for like 12 weeks, right? You would learn 10 times more than if you wrote your own program for 3 years. And it's something when clients are leaving and they're like, oh yeah, because I've showed them how to do like 3-day full body programs, and then I've took them through strength phases, I've took them through other phases, like, I kind of get this, I'm going to write my own now. I'm like, you can absolutely leave coaching, but whatever it is, just don't write your own, right? Because you're going to think it's simple and what it is because you've been following mine, but you could go and do something else and you'll have no idea how to do that on your own. But the way I program for you isn't the only way. My program isn't the best and the most optimal. Those words don't exist within programming. They're just like what works for me teaching beginners, and it's stuff I know inside out. But there's exercises that I don't coach very often to my clients because their skill level isn't high enough, or simply I've never really coached an exercise. There's a million exercises that I haven't coached all of them. I haven't done all of them myself. I've done a fucking lot and I've coached a lot, but there's still stuff I haven't done. So follow other people's programs. Don't follow your own. You'll just stunt your learning, and you'll learn 10 times more following other people's who have spent years designing programs. I've got free ones, and I've got a free beginner one in my bio. Loads, like 10,000 people have downloaded it. It's in my Instagram bio, should be in the show notes, and I'm designing an intermediate/beginner one, so it's for people that have done the beginner program and now they want to do the intermediate one, and it's free. All my programs that you can buy at the moment anyway are completely free. Right. Coaching isn't free, obviously. Right. Number 4, we'll just touch on this very quickly, right? Because I kind of fucking already said it, and it's within the same context, right? Did I say number 3 or 4? Well, we're on number 4. Is not sticking to a program, right? So see a program out for at least 8 to 12 weeks. Switching the exercises up every week gives you zero chance of getting better at said exercise. Even if it's a variation, you want to give yourself practice at the same movements. So even if it's like changing a dumbbell chest press to an incline dumbbell chest press, yeah, they're same movements, same movement patterns, but you would be better off sticking to the same one within the sort of same rep range for a given time frame, so that you've got a long enough period to get better at it. You getting stronger at a lift isn't like, I think when you're a beginner, you think, right, if I have more muscle, then I can move this weight more. But a lot of it's skill acquisition, right? So it's being able to do a movement pattern from practice, being able to do something more efficiently from practicing it. So when you do a dumbbell chest press, it's not just you're getting stronger and you're quote unquote building more muscle, you're actually getting more efficient at the movement. And the more efficient you get at the movement, the more stress and tension you can put on those muscles. And then the improvement over weeks and weeks and weeks or months is what starts to build muscle, starts to build strength at the same time of building the skill of the movement. So give yourself time to do that. A lot of people that say things like, oh, I just get bored of sticking to the same program, it's because you've never done that. You've never stuck to anything. And the reason you've got bored is because you're looking for something to change too quickly. Whereas if you just stuck it out and you've seen the improvement, you wouldn't get bored. People don't get bored when they're seeing improvement. They get bored when everything feels the same. So if you stick to the program, stick it out, you've got a much better chance of actually enjoying the gym. The gym's fucking shit if you stay the same. If you don't get better at an exercise, you don't see improvement, the gym's shite. Like, you want to see improvement, so give yourself the chance of seeing improvement. Right, number 5, very, very common, and this will sound sciencey, but if you follow me for a while, you'll know that I tend not to get too sciencey, especially because I'm speaking to beginners that don't give a fuck about the science, and they give a fuck about the nuance, but not the science. So why would I put them off with getting bogged down with science? Now, this is so common, can guarantee pretty much 90% of beginners will do this, and it's just not controlling the concentric part of a movement, right? Now, concentric sounds like a fancy word. So you've got two parts of, say, a rep, right? You've got the eccentric part of a movement, which if you think about a bicep curl, right? The concentric part, I always end up saying the wrong one, right? So concentric is, say, a bicep curl. You're squeezing that dumbbell. You're coming up, squeezing your bicep whilst curling the dumbbell. Then the eccentric is the lowering phase, right? Say on a Romanian deadlift, the eccentric part of the movement would be keeping the dumbbells close to you, pushing your bum back, and then the concentric would be pushing your hips through so that you finish the rep. Most people don't control the eccentric part of the movement, so in most cases it'll be the lowering phase. So a good way to think about this is, say you're doing a squat, you want to follow a tempo of, say, like 1 to 2. So when you don't overthink the concentric part of the movement, like that doesn't need to be slowed down. So for that part of the movement, you're going to say it's going to be 1 second, right? And then the eccentric part of the movement is going to be 2 seconds. And you don't even need to think about it as seconds. You don't need to think about, these things are just like, there's almost sort of foolproof. You don't need to overthink it. Don't get bogged down and was that exactly 2 seconds. Just do it to a count of 1 and to a count of 2, right? So if you've got a bicep curl, you're doing the concentric part of the movement and it's just going to be 1. And then on the way down, it's going to be 1, 2. 1, curling up, 1, 2 on the way down, 1, curling up. And you can pretty much, I've just took my hat off and I've got really bad hat hair, so if you're watching the video part of this episode, you will just got a nasty look at what my hat hair looks like. It is horrendous. Don't trust me, I know, my missus tells me every single time I take it off, and I only wear a hat when I will have bad hat hair because I've not had a haircut. So you can pretty much apply that to almost every movement, and I almost guarantee if you're a beginner in the gym, you will rush that part of the movement. And there's tension on the eccentric part of the movement that we need. So if you miss that out and you rush all like the sort of lower end phases of lifts, you miss out on all the tension that we need in order to see improvement in strength and building muscle, basically. Right. Number 6, right. This is more of a psychological thing that's very common with clients. I've actually had many a conversation recently with clients with stuff like this, and it was not taking things like this seriously enough when I started coaching was a big mistake that I made. So it's adding in things too early, trying to run before you can walk, basically. So with people that are new to the gym, especially if you're not like, if you're like past the age of like 24, you've probably got some sort of responsibility, whether that's kids, whether it's a partner, careers. Like, you just don't have the time that you had before that age. I'm coming up to 29 now. I know people will say I'm still young, but I'm at that age where I'm thinking about the big 3-0. Like, 29 just doesn't exist. It's not an age. You miss it out. You hit 30. I'm now thinking about everything I can squeeze into before I hit the 30. Because in my head, life ends at 30. Obviously, it doesn't, but I've just got that in my head. But when I first started the gym, I was like 21 maybe, and I could go 5 times. It wasn't actually that great an idea, but I could go 5 times a week. I would actually, at the time, I would have made way more progress in 3 because I was doing quite a lot of dumb things. But if you're past the age of 24, the likelihood of you being able to go to the gym 4, 5, 6 times a week and be able to recover from it, and it not to completely ruin other parts of your life, like, you know, not picking up your kid from school, that has consequences, I would imagine. Then you just don't really have the time or energy for more than like 3 sessions a week. So that's why my programming does usually look like 3 full body sessions a week, or sometimes 2. The odd person, you can start on 1, by the way. There's nothing to be embarrassed about by starting on 1, but you should always start conservative. Most people that have struggled with the gym tend to have that all or nothing thinking when it comes to fitness. And I've said this quite a lot as well. Lots of my clients aren't like lazy. They're very driven. They're hard working, and they've got a lot of areas in their life more locked down than myself. So it's all or nothing thinking in terms of like fitness, in terms of the gym, in terms of like weight loss. So unless you've managed to get to the gym 3 times a week for like 12 weeks, right? I'm putting random numbers on these, but I tend to actually make them bigger and bigger as time goes on, because I used to say 6 weeks, and then people still haven't really built enough confidence in themselves after 6 weeks. But if you haven't done that, don't add anything in. Even if it's something you love, whatever your brain is telling you to convince you that you need to do this extra thing, or you want to do this extra thing, even if it's a want, even if it is something you love, if you really, really, really want to actually become a person that goes to the gym, it might have to be something that you really like doing that goes. People don't like hearing that, but it might have to be something that you love, but just drains your energy, and you can look into reintroducing it. Whether that's like hiking a mountain every weekend, that might have to become fortnightly or monthly, until, if you really want to be someone that goes to the gym, that climbing a mountain fucks you up. It's quite common in Scotland to do that, but you might have to look at, right, might have to just be 2 gym sessions a week and then 1 mountain climb. And for me, that's a strenuous week already. Like, that sound for gym beginners, that's quite strenuous. So whatever it is, yoga, running, cardio, football, an extra weightlifting session, spin, whatever it is, I would urge you not to do it. You'll get way less benefit than you think from doing that extra thing. More isn't better in terms of this. Plenty of, like, almost, I would almost say optimal progress will be made as a gym beginner on 3-day full body. Like, it makes the most sense in almost all scenarios as a beginner. So you're going to be risking burning out via exercise pretty quickly. It's just that one more thing that might tip you over the edge. And the thing is, it's much easier to start conservative and then add in something later down the line than it is to accept that you went too hard too quick. When you've extremely, like, when you've burnt the what's that saying again? Burnt the candle at both ends? Why is there a double-sided candle? Burnt the fire at both ends? What the fuck is that saying? Anyway, right, when you've done that fucking thing where you've burnt something at both ends, it's almost impossible to see that that's what's happened. And it usually turns into, like, berating yourself for not being able to stick to your goals, and just feeling shame and guilt. So it would be 10 times easier to start conservative than go, do you know what? I feel like I've got this 3 gym sessions a week thing down, and now I'm going to add in 20-30 minutes of cardio easy cardio for a bit of heart health, than add it into the start. And by the way, loads of these things are great. Yoga's great. Playing football with your mates, great. Some cardio for your heart health, great. Climbing a mountain with your pals, fantastic. All good stuff. Not berating any of the stuff. It's the idea of you going all or nothing. These type of, when I've spoke to clients that are eager to add things, it's usually a symptom of all or nothing thinking. And in the past, I've mistaken that for eagerness to get into fitness. It's not. It's usually all or nothing thinking. And loads of times at the start, I was like, yeah, let's whack in that 4th gym session. And then before you know it, 6 weeks in, that client ghosts me and never speaks to me again, because it was my fault. They're now in a cycle of guilt because they couldn't stick to it, when it should have been me that should have set better boundaries for them. So I'm quite quick on picking up on things like that with clients now, and they'll be like, well, why is this guy so adamant that we don't add things in? Because it's too early and you don't need it, and it's not gonna benefit you the way you think it will. Right, number 7. Overthinking rep ranges. Now, I would have been bad for this at the start, and it would have came from just like thinking, I need this perfect plan. I need this, like, this ultimate plan that's made for me. If a woman's doing it, it's not for me. And a women tend to think about guys, oh, that's advice doesn't, I'm a woman, like, I don't need to train like a guy. There's not much differences in how guys and women train. There's some things to take into consideration. Women, sometimes, it's all individual as well. Sometimes they can get away with a wee bit more volume. Also, sometimes women want to train different body parts a wee bit more, so we can take that into consideration. But the training principles, like rep ranges, etc., don't change from men and women, really. So much of the training will be very, very similar. So rep ranges, right? There will be rep ranges on programs, but the problem involved in that for beginners is, if you see a rep range and you don't know what you're capable of, you can often stay in that rep range when you've got way more to give. So say the rep range is 8 to 12 and you're like doing 3 sets of 12 all the time. You could have done 3 sets of 20 on that exercise and there would have been nothing wrong with you doing it. Or you could have done a set of 20, a set of 19 and a set of 17, which is much more realistic if you're really pushing yourself, because if you can get the same amount of reps every set, then that tells you your first set definitely was too easy, your second set was probably too easy, maybe your third set was quite hard, but usually you shouldn't be able to do the same amount of reps three times in a row, unless you're doing it very strategically and that is the goal, and then the weight is being upped each week, and that's a whole different thing. But most of the time, your rep ranges, like on the sets, will be different because you're pushing yourself. Now, honestly, any reps between 5 to 30, like if you go between 5 and 30 reps and you push yourself within 3 reps of failure, which I'll explain in a second, that's going to get you what you want. That's going to get you stronger. It's going to build more muscle. The rep range is 1 to 5 is more specific to strength. So think like a squat, a deadlift, a bench press. Power lifters are usually sticking between 1 to 5. They'll, on their back end work, they'll do higher rep ranges as well, but that's more to do with strength. But we are thinking more about building muscle, and you will carry over a bit of strength in that as well. Now, you have to be a wee bit savvy with these things. It's not the wisest idea to do squats and with 30 reps, because your cardio will probably go before your muscles give out. Not too great on the joints, and it just sounds like shite. So you're probably better to do a wee bit lower within that 5 to 30 rep range. But your rep range doesn't matter anywhere near as much as you think. So you just want to go near failure. And just let me check that this, I'm not going to go into... I'm not going into that. Right, so I can explain a wee bit about failure as well. So with failure, as a beginner, you won't really know what that feels like. So all our sets, we want to be within 1 to 3 reps of failure. Now, that's more like mechanical failure. So say it was a bicep curl and you could technically keep going, but you would be swinging massively. We're not talking about that type of failure. We're talking where you can't do another rep with like really good form. So all of your reps, you should sort of be shaking towards the end. It's a good sign if you sort of look like you've shit yourself a wee bit. If there's maybe a little bit of a vein popping out your eye or your neck, that's usually actually quite a good sign that your set is hard enough. Now, that might not be the case on every exercise. Like taking a tricep rope pull down like to complete failure looks quite pathetic, versus taking, I don't know, like a dumbbell overhead press. That's going to look pretty grim when you get to failure, pushing above your head, and you will shake quite a lot. Now, beginners don't really know what that feels like. So if I tell a beginner to go 3 reps within failure, they're probably going to have 10 left. I've done this experiment with plenty of clients in the past and went, right, 3 reps away from failure, go for it. And then I've went, right, keep going. And they've said they've got 3 left, and then they proceed to do 10 more. Perfectly well. Still maybe not near failure. So in order to get that feeling so that you don't need to worry about rep ranges and you think more about all of your sets being hard, a good practice for you is to take the last set of some exercises to failure. So you can think about the safer ones, so like a lat pull down, bicep curl, lateral raises, maybe a cable row, instead of doing, it's not too wise to do it on like a squat or a deadlift or a Romanian deadlift or even like a lunge or whatever. So on the safe exercises, take the last set to complete an utter failure with good form, not like being able to still like basically sit on the lat pull down and be able to get it down. To complete an utter failure with good form. That'll give you a sort of feeling for what failure actually feels like, and you'll just start to gather more and more awareness of what a hard set is meant to feel like. This is not perfect. That most of training as a beginner isn't going to be perfect. Like, you're going to fuck most stuff up, but that's how you learn. So these are just little tools that can help you actually learn how to apply training principles. So don't worry if you're like, I don't know if that was near failure. You'll start grasping it. It's actually a skill. It's a skill that you need to learn, and you can't just learn it within one session and trying to do things to failure, because every exercise will sort of have different sensations and feel different. Some will be really grim. Some will be like, that's not even that bad, taking that to failure. And some will be like, fuck ever doing that again. Now, number 8, we've sort of touched on this, but I think we'll dive into some other things with this. Looking for the perfect anything, whether that's the perfect amount of calories to be on, the perfect food to eat before you go to the gym, the perfect program, the perfect form, the perfect anything. Now, this is a conversation I'm having with clients all the time, and I found one of the most profound things that you can say to someone is like, you will, and I want you to. That made no sense as an English sentence. You will fuck a lot of this up. Like, you will fuck it up. And there's no way around you fucking it up. So just right now, accept it. You're going to do loads of this wrong. And there is no single chance that you won't. And if there was a chance that you did do nothing wrong, how would you know it was right or wrong? You need to do it wrong to know how to do it right. It's impossible. So just accept it right now. None of what you like, nothing, nada is gonna be perfect. Nada about what you do is gonna be perfect. You're gonna have shite form for ages. You're gonna be shy of failure for ages. You're gonna do programs wrong for ages, and you're probably your diet's gonna be all over the place for ages as well. It takes quite a long time to like build up enough knowledge of just you. Like, it's not about like even the plan and all that. It's about applying you as a person to all of these things. Everyone responds different to different exercises. Some exercises are better for people than others, depending on like your anatomy. I find, for example, find it more difficult to like back squat and stuff because I'm so outrageously long and I'm built like an orangutan. Whereas shorter people with shorter limbs and stuff tend to find it easier to squat. It's going to take you ages to sort of understand those things about yourself. Just accept that that's part of the whole fun, is like figuring it out. And as a beginner, the great thing about being a beginner is because you've not really trained properly before, you can do loads of it wrong and still see loads of progress. Like, you can do it more wrong than you will for the rest of your years of training and see more progress than you ever will from all the training you do right in the future. Like, the most amount of progress you're going to see is when you're going to be the shittest and when you're going to not know what you're doing the most, because just simply going to the gym and like doing exercises you've never done before is going to cause so much stimulus because you were doing nothing. So don't worry about these things. You're going to fuck up. There's no way around fucking it all up. And like, looking for all these perfect examples of stuff is just going to make you overthink things. Like, the best way to learn is just by doing. I don't know if you've ever experienced it before, where you like go to a new job and they give you like 2 weeks of training, and then you get put in the front of the customer service desk, and it was a pharmacy you get put forward for, and you've spent two weeks learning about all the safety stuff and how to interact with customers and how to use the tills and all that, and then some guy comes up to you and starts itching his crotch and asking you how to know if he's got an STD, and that's the first person you've ever served in any sort of customer service scenario. Because that happened to me as a 19-year-old little boy working in a pharmacy in Hollytown. the first man I ever served in any sort of customer service scenario, because I came from putting tonnage tea cakes into boxes because I was not smart enough to, or I was too shy to get in front of people. I was the very first person I ever served, and nothing could ever prepare me for that. But now I stand before you, video podcasting and training clients in person, because I put in the groundwork of dealing with these freaks talking about their chlamydia to 19-year-old boys in pharmacies instead of going to the fucking STD clinic like a normal person. Who's, when you're in your 30s, how the fuck do you think going to the pharmacy is going to get you a diagnosis for shagging some minger? Huh? Tell me that, riddle me that. Anyway, the point stands. You will fuck this up, and you'll still make progress. Number 9, a very important one. Expecting to like the gym on less calories. Now, I've heard many, and by the way, it's absolutely fine if you've tried lifting and you just like, you've tried everything, you've came at it from all angles, you're like, Gavin, you're full of shit, I've tried this and I absolutely hate it, right? But most people that say it to me, I just don't believe them yet. And it's like they're allowed to not like it, but they have to meet requirements for me to find their opinion about themselves valid, right? See, if you've never went to the gym without eating less calories, I'm not here to listen to you moan about it, because nobody likes anything when they're on less calories. I don't like anybody or anything when I've consumed less calories. I'm very, very irritable. It's almost like my personality on steroids when I'm on less calories. I have no time for anybody's shite, like not even a millisecond. So the last thing I want to do is go to the gym, and I'll still go and I'll be angry the full time, because all of my lifts will go down. Even psychologically, before I even lift that weight, I'm like, I can't do that because I feel like shit. And maybe that holds me back on less calories, but it's why I spend a lot of time not eating less calories, because it's shit. Also, the other one, I'm not prepared to listen to people who haven't stuck to a program for 6 to 12 weeks, where they've actually like just tried to get better at lifts, because like I said before, if you've never seen yourself improve in the gym, then obviously you're gonna always hate it. But you have to give yourself a chance to like the gym. You have, and the best way to do that is by not going on less calories, giving you even maintenance, right? Rough ballparks for that, like 2,000 to 2,200 for women, like 2.5 to 2.6 to 2.7 for men, whatever. Doesn't have to be perfect and perfectly on the money with those calories all the time, but more than what you were trying to consume, and giving yourself the actual energy to get better in the gym. It's also really hard to get better at lifts or to get stronger when you don't actually have the energy to. If you go for a hard day at work, go through a hard day at work, you've got some stress, you've been eating less calories, and you're going to try a gym workout where there's new exercises on it you've never done before, and then also you're trying to get stronger at exercises you have done before when you feel like shit. Very unlikely to happen. Obviously, fat loss, the majority of people that go to personal trainers or want to start the gym, fat loss is going to be like in the forefront of most people's minds. But that's a phase, and that phase can be done at any time. When it comes to lifting, you want to give yourself the blessed. You want to give yourself the best, and give yourself a chance to be blessed. The best chance to enjoy the gym, the best platform, and that would be to not be there when you're trying to lose 3 pounds a week. Okay, probably not the wisest. Now, number 10. People don't like this one, but they don't usually hear me out on it. And that is, well, honestly, I know you're going to, like, turn your stomach at this. Filming yourself, right? I know, absolutely bizarre. This guy, this guy has actually no idea who I am. I'm anxious in the gym. Sometimes I go on the treadmill because I'm so scared to lift weights. And this guy wants me to bring in like a tripod or something. What's this cunt talking about? He wants me to bring in a tripod in a busy gym where there's males. There's males in there grunting. People I know, males I've maybe kissed. And he wants me to film myself in front of him. Now, hold the bus, right? It don't have to be this way. Now, most anxiety in the gym, I try, because someone always, I have generalised anxiety, and actually my anxiety in the gym feels right, cool, right? Most people, that when they say the word gym anxiety, it's a normal feeling to have. Being in a situation you're not comfortable in, doing something you've not done before. See, when I served the man who told me he had an STD, riddled with anxiety. Of course I was. Couldn't fucking speak, couldn't get a word out. But that was actually like my fight or flight response was working pretty well in that scenario because I was shitting myself. And rightly so. Scary 30-year-old man telling me he's got an itchy crotch. The possibilities are endless. What if the man had AIDS and I knew nothing about AIDS at that time and he touched my skin and I got AIDS? I don't know. I didn't know how these things worked back then. Okay? So gym anxiety is a completely valid response to not knowing what you're doing in the gym. But we want to get to the point where we do know what we're knowing. Do know what we're knowing. Do know what we're knowing. Fucking hell. Do know what we're doing in the gym. That's the best way to sort of get over gym anxiety. And there's, like, see if you've never seen yourself do something. How on earth do you know what that looks like? You don't. And by the way, mirrors don't work. You can't watch yourself doing something whilst you do something. It doesn't work. You might be able to see tiny things, but it's about a 10%. It's about 10% as effective as doing it, watching it after you do it. So, filming yourself, you don't have to do it in the busy part of the gym. Few things you can do. You could just take a pair of dumbbells. Most gyms will have like a studio or a quieter place. I remember when I used to do this, I used to like sort of get like one dumbbell, stick a camera up and then put my bag in front of it. So if there was people looking at me from a certain side, my bag was covering the phone and the dumbbell so they couldn't see it. And I would just do some exercises and film myself. I genuinely did do that. So you can use that tactic. A lot of gym, like the quieter space, sometimes you get a studio that's used for classes and there might be nobody in there, which is a good place to do it. If you bring in a pair of dumbbells and say like 50% of your program is dumbbell exercises, you can just do one sort of light practice set of all of those exercises just so you've got some evidence of like how it looks when you do it, because you'll be miles off. See, if you've never seen how your lifts look, you will piss yourself when you see them. Like, you probably will also be highly embarrassed, but there'll be such clear and quick fixes for you to do that you'll see it straight away as soon as you film yourself. Now, if there is no quiet spaces in the gym, you can do this in the house. See if you, like most people have, like either adjustable dumbbells or they know someone that does, or they're like 30 or 40 quid on Amazon. Even if it's not like you don't have enough weight or whatever, just see yourself doing a squat, see yourself doing a lunge or a remaining deadlift, bicep curls, that sort of thing, and you'll see quite a lot straight away. And once you see it, and then you start getting into like watching some form videos that people do on whatever social media platform, Instagram or whatever, you'll quickly pick up on like things you can fix. And if you're never going to get a coach, then this is the best tool you have, like by far. And I know there's so many people here that are never, like so many people that listen to me and just listen to like fitness stuff in general that will never, ever, ever, ever hire a coach. I never hired one until I became one. if you don't film yourself, then you're missing out. I was going to say something way worse there, but that's by far the best tool you'll have. I used to do a sport called freestyle football, right? And like this sport didn't exist before, like pre-2006 or 7 wasn't a thing, mate. It was YouTube that started it. People just started uploading a few tricks, and then it became an actual like sport. So you couldn't get coached. It wasn't a thing. There was about 20 of us in the world. So when I started, everyone was way better than me. But I was trying to learn stuff that not one person in my country could do. Like in the country I lived in, I was trying to learn something that nobody else in the full country could do. I was watching somebody in fucking Australia do like a mad thing on YouTube. So my only chance of being able to do that was watching them do it, potentially slow it down, then film myself trying it. And as I would watch me try it, then compare it to them, I'd go, he does that little bit a wee bit faster, and then it allows him to do this bit. And that's how I would spend a week learning one movement just by filming myself and watching other people doing it. And I ended up going on to do that sport for 10 years and getting paid to do it at big events and do it as like a show and all that. I don't want to show off because it was also the least amount of sex I've ever had in a period of 10 years, apart from when I was born, obviously. But those don't count. But a sport very attractive to virgins, and very repellent to the females. So not a flex whatsoever, but it allowed me to see how useful filming yourself actually was. Now, we'll end it there. That was quite an enjoyable episode. You'll notice my English hasn't been the best today. I've muddled many different words. I'm still taking on clients at the moment. I'm working on another free program that'll be out. I took a little bit of a break, a sabbatical from taking on clients for maybe like 3 or 4 months. I had like a year straight where I was pretty much like fully booked, and I wanted a wee rest from like taking people on. So I kind of worked with the same like 30 to 40 people for about 6 months straight, sort of there. And now I am ready to take on more clients again. So if you are interested, just DM me more info on Instagram. That's probably the best route to go down at the moment. But there will be plenty of chances over the next month or two, and then I'll shut my doors for the foreseeable again. But yeah, hope you enjoyed the episode. If you do have any specific questions, you can try ask me on Instagram, and I'll try give you a wee hand. Bye. Catch yous in the next one.